Yo, another week, another hip hop podcast. As always, it's your boy Mayron. Bria's laughing at me, which is fine because that means
that
I'm
big
here with
sigh
Bria.
was so sad. It was very sad.
Just trying
Like,
to
as
lighten
soon
the
as
mood.
I mean, yeah, but it's Yep. But you know, keeping up with the melancholy theme, I guess.
That's a summation of how we've been doing. We hope you guys enjoyed part one. We've gotten a lot of great feedback on it of Frank Ocean, and we're here to talk about him again and dive deeper into what Frank has given us. And yeah, as always, I was really happy when people started DMing me and talking about it. Feel free to hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, wherever, and just talk to us about the episode and put comments, and we'll probably respond, and you'll probably hear about it in the next podcast. So yeah, big shout outs to everybody who did that. I also really want to quickly shout out the Dull Roar and Stacy's podcast, because Stacy has been doing a really, really good job over there and has been really also promoting our stuff as well. And it's really just nice to see that. Been a good friend for a long time. But yeah, today we wanted to talk about Frank and sort of the visual prowess and what he brought to the game, and sort of how he changed the game and the person that he changed it with. Is that an accurate statement, Bria?
Yes, I would say so. I think so.
So what happened is we actually did a couple, I guess, wow, it's been almost 7 months. We did an episode on music video directors, and we talked about the influence of Nabil and sort of what he brought to the game, and it coincides a lot with Frank. And we realized after part one is that we didn't really get into that and dive into their relationship. So we've talked about them separately on, their different episodes, but we wanted to really tie them together. A lot of us Frank Ocean fans first experienced Frank Ocean through the most visual platform on the internet, even more so visual oriented than IG to a certain extent, that being Tumblr. And so Frank's visuals and Frank's vision was very, very important to us as developing artists and as just developing people. And his work with Nabil, I think, was very emblematic of the visuals of that time and very emblematic of that style that Frank brought to Tumblr to a certain extent, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So
I definitely
go ahead. No, my bad, go ahead.
No, were you gonna ask a question?
I was gonna ask, in terms of the videos that Nabil started with Frank, where would you want to start? What video would you want to start with?
I mean, that's what I was trying to pull up, is the years that all of these came out, because I want to say Pyramids was.
It doesn't have to be in order necessarily. It's more so what was your favorite? What would you send to someone? You're saying hey, I really love Nabil, I really love Frank Ocean, and I really loved them together, and this is why.
I mean, yeah. I think their most popular video, especially as far as their collaborations, would be Swim Good.
Yes.
I think because of kind of you mentioned, all the aesthetics, him wearing that panda head and walking very slow and mysteriously with that samurai sword and shit. It was just super kind of weird and hippie and cool and didn't make any sense. It just looked really good. Which I think is a huge factor or representative of kind of how his career, I guess, started, at least on Tumblr, as far as that's concerned. Same thing with not Frank Ocean. Same thing with Future. That it kind of really didn't make sense, and I think it kind of played up to his mysteriousness and ambiguity as a person and an artist. But my favorite one, I think I would say, would be Pyramids. I'm pretty sure that's one of his most expensive, if not his most expensive music video, which you can tell. There's a lot of CGI and post-production, a lot of editing that he had in this music video. And I liked it the most because I feel it had the most of a storyline to it, I guess, or a plot. I really liked kind of the narrative and how dreamy and imaginative it was. And I personally think that video kind of more so reflects Frank Ocean and Nabil separately, and then how they work together.
And that's the one where he's driving on the motorcycle, right?
Mm-hmm. And they're at that weird kind of strip club, and all the women's faces are changing into cats and shit.
Yeah.
And I liked it so much because it also, I think it brought the song to life more, which I didn't even think was possible with a song like Pyramids. I think it's a very like visually inspiring song. It's a very like mood enhancing, vibe inducing song, and I think the music video really emphasized that in a way, and in a way to where like it really fit the song. But I liked how like imaginative and how like how much it kind of explored like Afrofuturism and just like weird shit, really like weird, spooky, kind of dark shit too. Again, like with the darkness and making kind of dark, sad shit kind of sexy. Like all the sexy strippers' faces were distorted and they low-key looked like demons and shit.
And Frank looked so disturbed, right, in that entire scene.
Yeah, and wasn't his face like melting at one point?
Yeah, he was holding his face like this and putting his hand, I'm sorry, you can't see me. He's putting his hand on his eyes and his nose and like slowly like pulling his face apart. Well, you did a couple things that I wanted to expand upon, right? So what's really cool about the Pyramids video, and it's very similar to like, you know, the Weeknd's videos to a certain extent, obviously. Like there's a lot of crossover between Frank and the Weeknd. And what Frank and the Weeknd did is they took a lot of that classic hip hop shit of like, hey, we're in the club, there's a bunch of strippers, you know, asses are everywhere, and we're gonna turn it on its head and make it sad. And they're not the first people to do that in the world, but they did it really, really well. But they also juxtaposed that with a bunch of like beautiful scenery in the background, like, you know, Frank riding on the bike, and the color palette choices, right? I think you love posting these color palettes, right, on IG. Like you're like, oh, this is the film and this is the color palette. I think Pyramids has a great quote unquote like color palette as a music video.
For sure.
And that color palette, I think, as an intentional choice back then, was different, had a certain amount of difference from the mainstream music video style. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a little darker, a little moodier. Yeah. I feel like a lot of the music videos back then were a little more bigger budget. They were a little like brighter. They're a little like more vibrant. This is sort of toned down, like you're getting at a little darker, and that's intentional with the color shading and color palette that was chosen, right?
Yeah, I do think that was really, really intentional, and that's kind of what I liked about Pyramids, especially. Number one, what I like so much about Pyramids is one of the things that I learned a lot in my film classes is like how and why people shoot in the certain locations and what times they do, and how it like really helps with their budget. And like a lot of action movies, and especially low budget ones and horror films especially, they shoot a lot of stuff when it's like super, super dark, because it saves with like lighting and everything. And like as far as like budgeting goes in post-production, it's easy to kind of cheat and get away with shit not looking as clean or as crisp as it should, because it's like dark.
Because it's low light,
like fully see it. Yeah. Right, it's not as clear as it should be. So that's what I remember seeing, like watching the whole Pyramids video, and like, yeah, the whole thing is like at nighttime, it's super fucking dark. He's outside and he's in like a very dim lit club, and I was like, I always wondered like, and even like the part where like the girl's face would distort, or Frank would like pull his face down, it would kind of like, start distorting and stuff like that. And I would always like think of like, I wonder if that's like a low budget kind of cheat. Like I wonder if they kind of said, you know, do what they had to do, and just like knowing more about Nabil's career and stuff like that, especially in the beginning when he was working with Frank Ocean. This is before he had the budget and like the opportunity to work with niggas like Kanye West, and now he has a much different budget, but like he kind of had to do these certain shits. So watching videos like Pyramids kind of taught me as a creative like how to cheat and how to edit things certain ways. But also like, yeah, I do think a lot of the more music videos around that time were the complete opposite of what Pyramids was. Everything was bright, super blown up, super vibrant, and like almost like too like pastel-y colors, like super kind of, I think, Odd Future, like super Odd Future. So for him to kind of flip that and make everything dark, turn all the lights off, but still have like a lot of really cool pops of color. A lot of that was throughout the neon lighting that they emphasized and used, and I think that is something that I see all the motherfucking time, like especially now like in Euphoria and stuff like that. Like they rely on like the exact same lighting that I remember seeing for the first time in Pyramids.
The aesthetic is now exactly what Pyramids was, because this was the era of like brightly colored skinny jeans, right? And like no, it was like that's what this was the era of, and this was a departure from that. I want to take it back to Swim Good, which we brought up earlier, right? Because sort of hitting on the progression of things. One of the things that I really liked about like Swim Good, you know, he's like his monk and he has his sword, and sort of like it hit on all the bigger themes that come along with Frank Ocean, right? So like the the pseudo Japanese theme that he always has, right? Sort of the car thing, right? You know, he gets in that like really nice car and he's driving to the beach or whatever, and it really, if you look at the growing up between Slim Good all the way to Pyramids, you can see how his style changes and how his approach to music video making changes, right? And you can see like you can see Nabil's budget growing as things happen.
And so that's what I like. So go ahead, finish.
I was gonna say that to me was really cool. So that's all I had to say.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I really like when we were done finishing the first episode. I was like, fuck, like how the fuck could I not bring up Nabil? Like how the fuck could I not bring up Nabil? Because I mean, obviously at this point everyone knows Nabil's my favorite music video, but like they're like when I think about Nabil and when I kind of track his growth as far as like budget and taste and stuff like that, the people that I've really been able to see him develop that through is Frank Ocean and Kanye West, and that kind of blows my mind that like. He was able to have this career so early with these influential ass people, and not because they fucked with his work or he kind of fucked with theirs, just because he kind of knew them or finesse getting in the room to know them. Which I think is so interesting. Like to this day, it's so weird seeing Chrissy Teigen's like Instagram snaps or whatever, when she's like making all her food, all the kids are in the background. Nabil, she's on the couch with a plate and a fork, like
relaxing.
Hey, and you know, and I'm like, do people even know who the fuck this is? Do people even know? Like, but yeah, like one of the ways that I track Nabil and Frank's kind of progression through music videos is like how every time they do a new music video with each other, and I kind of compare to the last one, how much they grow. And like the growth from Swim Good to Pyramids is like,
you know, one thing I really like though that is consistent between the two is there are some cringy moments, right? Like in the sense that like, you know, like when they have like the old dudes touching on the strippers in Pyramids, or when at the end of like the Swim Good, you have him swinging the sword, killing the lady, and the what is it? The car is blowing up behind it, and it's kind of like, oh, this is like low budget action movie shit, but it kind of fits, right? Like it's like, oh, this is part of the aesthetic. You know?
It's like nigga Quentin Tarantino shit. It's just like everything's gonna look cool, and then we're gonna blow some shit up.
Exactly.
We're gonna blow some shit up. Like we're gonna have ass because everyone wants ass. We're gonna have like an old man rubbing the ass, so it's like, oh, you think about things.
Yeah.
Like that's literally what.
That's the best way to put it. And like he's just sitting there at the end in his little like panda hat, just like, yeah, I'm watching this car burn because I'm cool.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Just like walk slow mo with the sword dragging on the fucking concrete, like. But I'm not even going. And that kimono shit he had on.
Yeah, like the pseudo Japanese shit, right? Because he has like random Japanese text coming up. Like, what does this mean? What like? I say that as like I have like a shirt with random Japanese on it right now, which is hilarious. But like, who knows what the fuck this means? The other thing is like he had on 3s in that video, which always like bothered me. Like he had on Jordan 3s. I'm just like, what? This doesn't make any sense.
Why? Why is that? What is this shit?
It's just like, why are you wearing Jordan 3s, a kimono, and a panda hat? It was an outfit of that era for sure.
Okay, I'm gonna say, I swear to God, my brother has walked out of the house wearing that exact fucking fit, and
that is not surprising actually. Shout out to Enrique Libre, like
that nigga. Shout out to my blood.
But that was definitely like that era outfit for sure. But yeah, I think that's kind of we wanted to at least mention that and honor that because it wouldn't be right without that. There a couple other things that I guess we should bring up is, you know, where does Frank go from here now? We talked a lot about his career and sort of like where he was at and what he's about to do or what he did. But what do you think he's about to do?
I don't know. And I mean, and I don't want to be like all depressing and like melancholy and stuff like that. But like, if there's one artist that number one I see doing the Lauryn Hill and never making music again, even though obviously he has more music than Lauryn Hill does, but somebody like out of all the artists, if I could just choose, like who do you think would be the next Lauryn Hill? First person that would come to mind is Frank Ocean. And this was before the tragic news of his younger brother passing away, which happened a couple months ago. Like,
rest in peace.
Rest in motherfucking peace. And it's like, you know, and he, again, like we are as connected as we are to him because of the relatability we feel like we received through him and like that connection that we made with him. And if there's one thing that I feel like I kind of picked up is that this nigga is a very family-oriented nigga. He cares a lot about his mom and his brother. He cares a lot about his mom and his brother. So the fact that you lose somebody like that unexpectedly, your younger sibling at that, and he already didn't really fuck with us, not in a bad way, but like as far as like fuck with us on industry shit, fuck with us on music shit.
He's a private person.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and just, I'm not gonna do things when you want me to. And I swear to God, every single day I wake up more and more and I'm like, I get it. Because I'm tired of waking up and niggas asking me to do things. Like, I'm tired of waking up. You still gonna give me, like, nigga, did you know I woke up and wanted to die today? No. So, like, fuck your deadline. Like, I feel that. So, like, I literally wake up and I think about this man. Like, are we ever gonna get music from him again? We might not. And would that blow me as a person that craves his art? Yeah, but as a human, fuck no. If my younger brother passed, God forbid, you would not fucking hear from me again. Until I was ready. And that being my little nigga, it's gonna be years. And this nigga already took years to drop music, you know, because of how he looked at it, whatever. Like, I would love new music from Frank Ocean. I feel like he's one of the few artists right now that can describe what we're going through right now. Not even like very general specific things, but he can explain how we feel right now. And I think about him. Like, I would love Frank Ocean just give me a little throwaway, like Chanel, like Viking, like give me a little throwaway and just let me know that you're fucked up too, my nigga, because this shit fucking sucks and I don't know what the fuck to do.
Kind of like he did earlier, right? He did that earlier in the pandemic with Dear April and
DHL and like all that shit. But and he was going somewhere with that, was he not? He had that whole prep party that went disastrously. He was getting somewhere with this music release, and I could tell from like stuff like DHL and the other songs that he dropped, he was in such a different
Cayendo and Dear April, because he was singing in Spanish, right? He sung the entire song in Cayendo in Spanish, and I was like, wow, this is really different for Frank Ocean. I love it.
It's so interesting. It was such an interesting bag. It really was. Like, and to me, it felt like, oh my God, this nigga has reached like another level of himself. Like, just like the certain, like the beat selections and stuff like that. It was like giving like now modern day sad, still coked up party boy, but like 80s when everybody was just like gay and just doing raw butt sex and everything was fun. Like, that's really what it was giving us. Like, since like this nigga done been turned up with his trade, making his music, and he about to drop some shit. Like, boy toys ride me like an Uber. Boy toys fucking me like an Uber. Like, I was ready for it. I don't think we're gonna get that now. Yeah,
I agree.
Why would we?
Yeah, I agree. I don't know if Frank is in a great space to release music, but I think in the long term, we do hear from him again.
What's long term though? 5
years.
Okay. Yeah, that I see. Like, I'm not checking for Frank for 2025.
Yeah, for 5. Like, I think in 5 years we get something, right? So like 5 to 6 years. I can see Frank releasing things that he has just been recording over time, and sort of just being like, hey, here's this, and like once again disappearing. And I think that's kind of all we need. I don't know if we need a concerted effort on Frank Ocean's part to give us like an amazing project anymore. I think we've gotten the amazing projects. I think now he's just gonna make art to make art.
Yeah, and just for self-expression, because that's the only reason why I don't think he will ever quit making and eventually releasing art. Is just like, that is just the pinnacle of self-expression, and he just seems like somebody that feels so much to where like you have to release that shit. There's no way you can deny yourself of that.
I agree.
Just being somebody that creates. But yeah, I don't expect anything from him. I would love it, of course, but I already had a low expectation when it came from him and his art. Yeah, I wanted it. Yeah, I craved it, but an expectation was already fucking low. And because I'm trying to not be that person, especially for people that make it clear that they're not that person. And I've always argued Frank Ocean. I argue now Summer Walker is one of those people as ignorant as she is, as dumb as ignorant as she is. It is what it is, bro.
She's something. I don't know what to say about her.
And she blocked me, so I think that's the first celebrity that ever, first and only celebrity that ever blocked me. And I'm like, what, bitch? You were being racist, but it's fine. It's fine.
Anyways,
Anyway.
I'm not even gonna touch her. Like, listen, she made a great EP a long time ago, and that was cool, and I really appreciate that EP.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah. So like, I don't have these expectations for him even before, but after all this fucking shit, and especially the most recent, most tragic news, I think 5 years. I think 5 years we get. That sounds nice.
Yeah, a collection of shit that he's been recording. But yeah, that's kind of, we just wanted to add that on to our part 1 episode, and just wanted to make sure that existed in the world. So you can call this a 1.5 if y'all want. You got anything else we want to wrap up with, or?
No, I don't think so. I feel like there was something else you wanted to talk about, though.
Yeah, but I think that's a whole nother episode in itself. That genre, the new genre that Frank Ocean has made. I think I want to talk about sort of the evolution of R&B in general, and sort of how how Frank has been one of those people to help shift that evolution and sort of sway the direction. So, all right, guys, it's been another hip hop podcast. You hear we have plans for more episodes in the tuck, anyways. So that's always good news. Thanks for listening, and peace and love.
Thanks, guys. Stay safe. Happy holidays.